The early 1900s saw equality between gender regarding enrollment in higher education. By the mid-1900s, the GI Bill had been introduced, skyrocketing male enrollment into over a 2-to-1 ratio for males to females. However, enrollment rates saw steady declines for males spanning from just after the GI Bill all the way up to 2002. Studies show that male first-year and senior students are investing less time and energy toward their academic success. Senior males in particular participate less often in collaborative or even active learning activities. For the most part, institutional type is shown to be a non-factor when it comes to gender differences in engagement. Up to 60% of first-year college students, male and female, are putting less than 16 hours towards study outside the classroom per week. More and more male students are failing to show any intrinsic motivation for academic work. The primary question: what can be done to lessen the glaring gender gap in higher education and ensure equal satisfaction and success across both genders? It is widely accepted that engagement is critical for success in higher education. Engagement is thought of as the active participation in a subject matter in areas related to a subject, whether inside or outside of the classroom. In order for students to participate or engage, they must also entertain enrollment. Thus, a secondary idea of enrollment falls under the umbrella term of engagement. There are common issues that influence participation regardless of gender. Recognition of the validity in addressing such issues is a good first step towards relieving the gender gap. Participation in the classroom, or lack thereof, has multiple empirically supported reasons. One reason is class size, with students being more willing to participate, less anxious about participating, and less likely to be able to hide in smaller classes than larger classes. Large class size tends to hamper communication. Because class size cannot always be limited for any given institution, proposals have been issued regarding this common issue in engagement, such as smaller weekly discussion groups for larger core classes, seating arrangements, the time of day the class is taken, and incorporation of participation into grade points. Another common issue is personal fear of inadequacy despite class size. Students self-report confidence as the most motivating factor in their class participation efforts. Along the lines of confidence is communication. Individuals finding themselves apprehensive to communicate also find themselves apprehensive of the participation within the classroom. Studies suggest that in order to combat classroom apprehension, appropriate exercise should be taken to implement preparedness for students. Students who prepare by first seeing a topic in homework or discussing a topic with class are more likely to overcome classroom apprehension. It is important to understand that in addition to lack of preparedness, classroom apprehension can also stem from past class experiences. Personality also plays a key role as a common issue pertaining to engagement. Study shows that despite high self-esteem outside of school, low classroom esteem is detrimental to participation. Though those that find themselves with low self-esteem outside of the school are much more likely to find similar issue inside of the school. Assertiveness and responsiveness are two personality traits that play a large part in influencing participation. These traits are directly affected by the climate of classrooms and similar traits in instructors. Proposed solutions include early communication encouragement and pairing of student personality traits with appropriate instructor personality traits. Empirical data also suggests the importance of the contribution the instructor makes for students' participation levels. Instructors who abstain from negative verbal use and negative personality practices, but instead offer mutually respectful classroom climates and encouraging confident and comfortable participation. Classrooms in which students feel that their opinion will be heard and met with acceptive interest, even if critical of the idea overall, promote participation in the form of question asking and class discussion. As it stands, there are a variety of standards across multiple institutions and institutional types as to how engagement is documented. For our purposes, we will be dividing up the idea of engagement into workable categories. The three categories being relational engagement, behavioral engagement, and cognitive engagement. Behavioral engagement can best be explained by a student who works hard but still seems to struggle with learning. By working hard and persisting, the student is exhibiting behavioral engagement but lacking cognitive engagement. A student's effort, persistence, participation, and compliance with school structure is what makes up behavioral engagement. Cognitive engagement encompasses the feelings of a student pertaining to the student's educational accomplishments, skills, and strategies employed to master their work. The key distinction is that cognitive engagement is a student's focus on mastery of work, whilst behavioral is a student's focused effort to complete the work. A combination of both types of engagement are vital in order for a student to both grasp a program's material and attend to the tasks necessary to complete the program. Relational engagement can be defined as students' feelings of interest, happiness, anxiety, and anger during achievement-related activities. In addition, relational engagement can be described as a student's feelings related to sense of belonging. This is because perceived teacher support feeds into students' sense of school belonging as proxies for understanding. Some of the common issues of student engagement can fall under a combination of relational engagement and cognitive engagement. For example, instructor and class climate issues may fall under areas of both cognitive engagement and relational engagement. Instructor and class climate issues fall under the cognitive issue when discussing a student's confidence in regards to past class experiences. At the same time, the issue falls under relational engagement typing when considering how an instructor interacts with a student to ensure adequate appreciation of the course. Research and development of the male identity should not be ignored. Understanding the experiences and issues male face in identity development is key in identifying issues influencing male engagement in higher education. Early research in male identity development, dating back to 1986, proposed that in the process of establishing one's identity, gender role conflict can work to affect competence development, emotional management, interpersonal relationships, purpose development, and integrity development. All of these aspects are core to Chickering's 7 vectors of identity, which, first published in 1969, are foundational to higher education's current understanding of identity development. Gender role conflict is a psychological state where gender roles have negative consequences or impact on a person or others. The ultimate outcome of this conflict is the restriction of a person's ability to actualize their human potential or the restriction of someone else's potential. This study has recognized 3 specific issues influencing male engagement in higher education. The 3 issues, while categorized individually at a topic level, do share some relation in origin and practical occurrence. For example, societal issues may drive gender role issues. And again, gender role issues may be resultant of pre-post-secondary education structure. Suicide rates for males aged 15 to 24 are 5.8 times higher than for females in 2000. Incarceration rates have also rose rapidly since 1970, showing a similar timeline to that of male enrollment decline. Incarceration is a 90% male issue. From the 1950s, adult males have been disengaging from the labor force. Males have also been increasingly disengaging from family and civic duties since the early 1950s. Taking into consideration the relationship between male disengagement and increased role of females in society, the statistically factual decline of a higher education enrollment shows correlation to societal changes. Females achieve considerably higher grades in school than males. College-oriented courses taken and test scores began to reverse from male-dominated to female-leading as early as the 1980s. The importance of pre-college education performance has long been known as an important indicator of college success. The gender role conflict that males face is playing a mediating role in the lowered enrollments of male students in higher education. The conflict plays into their societal struggles. Once enrolled and attending, males then face further struggle among the opportunities presented, subscribing to unrealistic notions of masculinity. Something as simple as asking a question on campus can have repercussions for males. Men need to be sure that the reason they are asking the question is substantial enough in order to warrant asking it in the first place. Implications of strict masculine ideal causes men to inhibit their emotions and fear taking any action that may get them labeled as homosexual. Over the past century, the data has shown a consistent decrease in male enrollment and engagement. Recently, those concerned have begun to notice that pre-college education structure has shifted right alongside the shift in male engagement for post-secondary education. This shift in structure has been observed to orient education towards female students. This is resulting in male students consistently seeing lower scores and experiencing gender role conflict at key developmental stages, which in turn translates to damage to cognitive engagement and damage to relational engagement for these young males. It is difficult for higher education institutions to directly affect pre-post-secondary institution structure. However, as pre-college characteristics are critical to college success, some approach must be found. As of current, the most promising proposal is pre-college encouragement programs, instituted by higher education institutions or third parties, that work to instill classroom competencies for all students, but most specifically targeted toward male students. So far, such initiatives have showed effective, particularly parental involvement in college outreach programs. Studies in male identity development are suggesting that male participation sees improvement when a male enters college at a later average age. If the current age of the average college male is causing such a core disruption, then there could be two possible paths. First, institutions could expect males to wait till a later age to enroll. This will allow for better engagement on the male student's part. However, this may have extreme social and economic fallout, as well as pushback. Second, institutions could shift their approach towards educational opportunity to include more opportunity geared toward the male identity. Interestingly enough, all male institutions such as Wabash College have reported recently in the National Survey of Student Engagement in 2014 that their male engagement statistics report a whopping 23% experience impact over the average of private institutions in their Carnegie class. What this suggests is that institutions that gear their opportunities towards male may avoid gender conflict, despite being overly represented by the very population experiencing the conflict. Of course, this thinking may be biased by the possibility that those enrolling in an all-male institution have a desire for such engagement anyways. Male engagement in higher education has showed consistent decline over the past century and has become a problem that must be addressed by higher education institutions. Whether the solution will require a complete shift in educational structures from elementary up to post-secondary has yet to be determined. Recognizing the issues influencing male identity development and how education can better serve a male population in order to promote equal opportunity between the sexes should be a top priority for educational professionals at all tiers. Individual approaches seem thus far to remedy symptoms of behavioral engagement decline, but cognitive engagement and relational engagement are still experiencing a fundamental damage from the current structure of education as evidenced by the societal and enrollment facts. Those concerned with the future of not just education, but society, need to take a hard look at what must be done to better educate men, starting with an understanding of male development.